Our film starts with Paxton in Amsterdam with his friends Josh and Ollie. They are traveling to enjoy their time, spend their vacation, and do everything they desire. They go to a nightclub to meet girls and spend the night with them. Paxton is standing with two girls trying to talk to them and get to know them until Josh comes over to join him. As a result, the two girls leave him because he's wearing a fanny pack. For the girls, this makes him look bad, and they don't want to hang out with someone like that, so Paxton tells Josh that he needs to take off that fanny pack if he wants to attract any girls at the club. They then go to make another attempt with two more girls. Josh bumps into a girl who is alone, and her boyfriend comes over to confront them. They get thrown out of the club and end up walking down the street where all the shops are closed because they stayed out too late. When they arrive at their hotel, they find the door locked because they're late. They keep banging on the door to get someone to let them in, making so much noise that everyone around them wakes up and starts throwing bottles at them to shut them up. At that moment, one of the hotel residents calls out to them and tells them to use the fire escape to get into their room so they don't get into any trouble. He introduces himself as Alex, and Paxton shares their names with him. They explain that they're on a backpacking trip, having started in France, then moved to Switzerland, then Belgium, and are now settled in Amsterdam. They're traveling in search of fun, girls, and drinks. Alex tells them that he has a perfect hotel for them, though it's a bit far. However, he assures them it's worth the trip because it has everything they could wish for. The next day, they take the train to the city where the hotel is located. On the train, they meet someone who also confirms that the city they're heading to is a hot spot for any tourist looking for fun. They all arrive at the station and notice that the area is deserted. After searching for a while, they manage to find a taxi and head off to the hotel. As soon as they arrive in the city, they realize it's very large. All the girls at the hotel keep looking at them as if they're interested. They soon discover that the hotel has shared rooms, meaning people will be staying in the same room with them. Once they go up and drop off their bags, they find that two girls are sharing the room with them. They quickly change and head down to the sauna, where the girls invite them to join them. They go with the girls and get to know them, discovering their names are Natalia and Sophie. After that, they all head to the nightclub, where the girls offer them 2 pills to enhance their enjoyment of the night. Josh steps outside the nightclub to get some fresh air and finds a group of children gathered around him, holding weapons in their hands. The children demand $1 from him aggressively, showing they're ready to hurt him and take his belongings. Just then, the elderly man he met on the train appears again and gives the children $1, ensuring they leave Josh alone and unharmed. The old man warns Josh that the children in this city are part of gangs and that they can kill anyone they want without any consequences. He tells Josh to be very careful and keep his guard up around them. Josh invites the old man for a drink at the nightclub and notices that the man has a tattoo on his arm. After finishing his conversation with the old man, Josh heads back to continue the night out with his friends. The next day arrives, and Josh and Paxton are very happy with their hotel and the fun night they had. When they look at their friend Ollie's bed, they find it empty. They guess that he must have spent the night with someone, so they head down to the dining hall to look for him. When they can't find him, they go to the reception and ask about Ollie. The receptionist informs them that Ollie checked out of the hotel that morning. An Asian girl approaches them and tells them that her friend traveled with Ollie and sent her a picture of them together. Paxton is surprised because Ollie generally isn't into Asian girls at all, but with nothing to go on, they decide to take a walk around the city. As they stroll, Paxton spots a lake ahead of them. He remembers a story from long ago and tells Josh that he once saw a girl drowning in front of him. He ran to the lifeguard to save her before it was too late. However, the lifeguard was on the phone with her boyfriend and thought Paxton was joking because he was just a child at the time. But at that moment, they heard a loud scream from the child's mother because the girl had drowned. Paxton continued to have nightmares for many years after that. He would wake up to the sound of the mother's screams, always feeling that he could have done more to save the girl and that he shouldn't have let her die. While they're talking, they pass through an alley and the kids attack them again, asking for $1. Josh immediately hands them $1. Paxton warns Josh about them, explaining that they're part of the city gangs and could do anything for money. They notice someone who looks like Ollie walking ahead, wearing the same jacket as him. They chase after him until he enters a museum called the Torture Museum. When they catch up to him, they grab him, but he turns out not to be Ollie. They exit the museum and find a message sent to them from Ollie. It's a disturbing photo of his face, with a caption saying he has traveled to his home country. The picture reveals that his head has been cut off, indicating that Ollie is dead. After being tortured in the most horrific ways by an unknown man, after the man finishes with Ollie, he goes on to continue torturing the Asian girl, while Josh is the only one who is worried about Ollie. But in the end, he reluctantly believes that Ollie has returned to his country without telling them and goes out to party at the club with Paxton. They run into Natalia and Sophie again and continue drinking until Josh starts feeling unwell. He decides to go to his room, leaving the door open behind him. At that moment, a man enters behind him and kidnaps him. It turns out to be Paxton, who also felt unwell and decided to head to his room. It appears that Natalia and Sophie have conspired with someone to follow Paxton and kidnap him as well. Fortunately for them, Paxton walks into a storage room, mistaking it for the bathroom. The door shuts behind him, and he can't get out, so he ends up spending the night there until the next day. When Josh wakes up, he finds himself tied to a chair with various torture tools in front of him. A masked man enters and begins to torture him with all the instruments at his disposal. Then the man removes his mask, revealing himself to be the elderly man Josh had encountered before. He asks Josh about the reason for the torture he's inflicting on him. The elderly man says that he had always aspired to be a surgeon, but he failed in his studies. He then entered the business field, earned a lot of money, and came to this place to fulfill his wish. He continues torturing Josh until he eventually kills him. The next day, Paxton wakes up and heads back to the club. He opens the door and returns to the hotel, where he finds the receptionist informing him that he is supposed to leave because he is marked as having checked out of his room already. Paxton is about to argue with the receptionist, but he ends up retrieving his room again and goes upstairs to relax in it. He meets two girls in the room and greets them in the same way he greeted Natalia. They invite him to join them in the sauna. Paxton feels that something is wrong, so he goes out to search for Josh in the streets and calls Sophie to ask if she has seen his friend. At that moment, the kids snatch the phone from him and run away. Paxton chases them until he catches one of the children. In his anger, he nearly strangles the kid but manages to control himself and lets him go to continue running. He keeps walking through the city until he spots Natalia in front of him. He approaches her at the place where she is sitting and asks her about his friends who have suddenly disappeared. She tells him that they are at the art museum, both of them. Natalia takes him to a large, seemingly abandoned building. There are many guards and expensive cars parked outside. He follows her inside the building. He asks the person seated in front of him about the price of the entry ticket, and the person replies that entry is free. Paxton enters the building and finds a room where Josh is lying, dead. There's a person performing an autopsy on him. Before he can attack Natalia, she tells him that she took a lot of money to bring him to this building. Two men attack Paxton, hitting him and dragging him into a special room. On his way, he sees many people in the surrounding rooms being tortured in various ways. Eventually, he reaches his own room, where he is tied to a chair and left waiting for his turn to be tortured by someone. A masked figure approaches him and chooses to torture Paxton simply because he is American. The torturer expresses a particular enjoyment in torturing Americans. He brings a pair of scissors to instill even more fear before starting the torture. The torturer takes a portion of Paxton's hair and puts it in a bag as a keepsake. Paxton tries to persuade the man to let him go, arguing that if he kills him, he will haunt him with nightmares and destroy his life from the guilt of having killed someone. However, the man ignores Paxton's pleas, muffles his mouth to continue the torture calmly and slowly, and decides to kill him with a saw. Since the saw is heavy and difficult to handle, it crashes down on the chains, binding Paxton's hands and cuts them. Paxton frees himself from the chair, and as the man approaches to kill him, he trips on the floor. The saw falls on him, killing him instantly. Paxton manages to reach the gun in front of him and shoots the man in the head to ensure he is dead and won't get up again. Paxton calls for the guard, and as soon as he arrives, he kills him as well to ensure he can move freely through the building. He puts on the specialized outfit worn by the torturers so that no one will recognize his identity. He moves through the building until he enters a room filled with dead bodies, where he hides among them to avoid being seen. A man comes in to collect the bodies and moves them toward the basement, heading for the incinerator to dispose of them without leaving any trace. Paxton gets up and hits the man with the hammer nearby, then quickly makes his escape from him. He heads to the elevator to exit the building. When he reaches the first floor, he enters the area where the clothing is stored. He discovers that the police themselves are in collusion with the place, allowing them to kidnap, torture, and kill tourists without any intervention from law enforcement. He decides to escape from the place as quickly as possible and puts on any clothes he finds nearby. He finds a card in the clothes for a place called Elite Hunting Club. On the back, it lists prices for torture: $5,000 to kill a Russian, $10,000 to kill a European, and $25,000 to kill an American. He notices a man entering, dressed in torture gear. The man begins to talk to Paxton about his experience. He reveals that he has been feeling bored and unfulfilled in his life, despite being very wealthy. He was looking for something to refresh his life and felt excited when he found the hunting club, where he was allowed to kill anyone he wanted. He has been waiting for a long time because he placed a specific order and paid $50,000 for it. Finally, his request is ready, and he plans to quickly finish off the victim before enjoying the process of dissecting them. Paxton tries to go along with him, pretending to be one of them, until he finally manages to slip out of the room and escape the building, heading towards the nearest car he can find. Just before he escapes in the car, he hears a woman screaming from inside the building. He decides to go back to save her, as he doesn't want to repeat what happened to him in the past when he refused to save the drowning girl. He re-enters the building to save the screaming girl and searches for her until he finds her in front of the man he had talked to earlier. The man is burning her face and torturing her. Paxton kills him and rescues the girl. They both run to the nearest car, and Paxton drives her away from the place, escaping the horror behind them. On their way, Paxton sees Natalia, Sophie, and Alex, who had initially recommended that hotel to them. Driven by a desire for revenge for his friends, he decides to attack them and kill all three. They continue their escape until they suddenly come across a group of children in front of them. Paxton offers the children some gum from the car in hopes that they will allow him and the girl to escape safely. The children continue to stand in the road, waiting for the car that is chasing Paxton. Suddenly, they launch an attack on it and the people inside the vehicle. Paxton reaches the train station, where he and the girl try to escape from the guards searching for them. They move stealthily through the crowds, looking for a way to slip past the watchful eyes of the security personnel. At that moment, the girl with Paxton passes by a reflective glass and sees the disfigurement she has become. She decides to commit suicide in front of the train, which grabs the attention of everyone present. This distraction allows Paxton to board the train and escape from the city for good. While boarding the train, he hears the same voice of the old man who killed his friend. So he decides to keep an eye on him until they both get off the train, and he discovers that the old man has a young daughter. Paxton is able to kidnap her and escape with her so he can kill her and make the old man suffer, just as Paxton suffered when he saw his friend being murdered in front of him. This is the first ending of the film. However, there is a second ending in which Paxton continues to follow the old man after he gets off the train. Once inside the bathroom, he attacks him and kills him, then boards the train again. And there you have it, folks. What a whirlwind of a ride that was. From shocking twists to unforgettable moments, this film had it all. If you enjoyed this recap and want more cinematic magic delivered right to your screen, don't forget to subscribe to Cinema in a Nutshell. Click that like button if you love the content, and share this video with your friends so they can join in on the fun. Hit that notification bell to stay updated on the latest and greatest movie recaps, all presented in an exciting way that you won't want to miss. Thank you for watching, and remember, every film has a story to tell. Let's discover them together. Until next time, keep watching and keep dreaming.